Hooday to all those who celebrate. Welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Jungle with your two favorite Bengals fans. I'm Rich, here with my brother Philly Phil. Phil, how you doing,
Yes,
man?
sir. I'm doing great, man. Happy we finally got the schedule, man. Ready to see how things gonna shake out and play in the second half of the year. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This will not be a super long episode. We're gonna just pretty much talk about the schedule and just our instant reactions to it. Obviously, we'll have the entire season to break down games and matchups and all that stuff, but kind of want to see what it looks like for us, have some predictions maybe, and go from there. But before we get into it, want to appreciate and thank everybody out there for tuning in. We definitely it means a lot to us. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, leave a comment on Apple, the whole nine. Everything you can do, it helps us a lot with the algorithm. See a lot of people tuning in. We want to make sure we provide you great content, and that helps us go a long way. So just FYI, if you can do that, that is going to mean a lot to us. We'll just take it from there. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about one of the most important things that's not schedule related, which is a surprise appearance. I say surprise because we know there's a contract negotiation, but an appearance from Trey Hendrickson in street clothes during one of the voluntary OTAs. Phil, it's about a 23-minute video right now floating online.
mhm.
Um, yeah, a lot can be said. Let's put it like that. A lot can be said about the video. I want to know your thoughts initially and what you think about it.
Yeah, as you stated, it was certainly a surprise. I mean, even the beat writers were surprised, and I do wonder if it was a coincidence with them rescheduling Joe's media availability because Joe was actually supposed to have a press conference that day, and no real word as to why it was rescheduled. I Obviously the Bengals didn't know Trey was coming, and the Bengals wouldn't move Joe's availability to let Trey bash him. So I thought that aspect was interesting, but he definitely said a lot, like you said. It's one of those situations where after hearing Trey speak, I do understand both sides more. I feel like now,
That's
um, you know,
interesting. What do
it's
you
it,
what do you
it
mean by that?
I feel like it's usually easy to bash the Bengals in these type of situations, but from everything that I heard from Trey, just reading between the lines, to me, it doesn't seem like it's a money issue. It seems like it's a time issue. It's a length of years issue. Like Trey keeps talking about long term with guarantees to be able to root his family, and it's ho- like how many years are you expecting to get at age 30 to where you're raising your family here forever? Like you just had your son what last year, I think, maybe 2 years ago, possibly. So like how long of a deal are you realistically looking for? Like, I mean, I could see the Bengals probably want to do a plus one. The Bengals probably want to do a 1 year. He probably and I think the Bengals would be willing to go to two, but what is he really asking for? Like, that's the part where I'm like, okay, now maybe I understand where the Bengals are coming from because I still, after those 23 minutes of hearing them talk, I still don't know exactly what it is that he wants specifically. Like, do you
Oh,
want?
I know what he wants specifically.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could easily RESPECT. Find
Yeah,
out what it means. That's like the big listen. Trey doesn't talk a lot,
right.
and this was one of the first, obviously one of the more lengthy conversations or segments that we've seen Trey have, and we talked about it off mic. Consummate professional, kind of what you want out of somebody at a let's say an employee because that's what he
Absolutely.
is to the Bengals. Um, I think his main issue is the respect factor of it. Like, why do I have to keep coming to the table every offseason after
Hmm.
everything that I've been doing for the past 4 years? It's no different than anybody else's job or career. If you are killing it at work, like going above and beyond, not just being a good player, but being one of the best two in your position, two or four
Hmm.
in the entire league. If you're one of the best two or four in your entire company, you expect to be compensated as much. You don't want no pizza party. You want to get taken
Hmm.
care of and locked in. Um, I definitely understand what you're saying. He is 30, so what can you actually expect? That part hasn't been told. I think what he wants is something that says, "Hey, we appreciate you, we value you, we want you to finish your career in Cincinnati."
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that I don't know how many. I don't know what the years. I don't know how long Trey plans on playing. Um, but I don't think it's that much longer. He's
That
30. Let's say
that's
the
my
max 5 more years. But yeah, I
yeah.
get it. But that's the thing. Like I've been here. You guys took a chance on me. He mentioned, hey, I was one of the 5 candidates that could have gotten cut in
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans. I was playing special teams. The
Mm-hmm.
Bengals did, take a not to take a chance on him, but they did see the value in him.
For
And he's
sure.
exceeded that. He made a good point of saying, hey, if I had gotten 4 sacks, the Bengals might be
Mm-hmm.
looking to restructure and getting some of that money back, which is
Mm-hmm.
fair. And he said
Mm-hmm.
that. So I think it just comes down to, hey, I've been balling. I want y'all to treat me as such because, and that's the other factor of it. Everybody else who plays my position, their organizations have rewarded them.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a pride thing. Obviously, you just want to be taken care of, and it's frustrating when you don't do that. Um, and I think the lack of communication, he said, between both sides, some of the comments by Katie, I forget if that was a combine when she said that wild stuff. And then obviously the text message from Zach. I feel him when he says, listen, it's hard not to take things personal,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you clock in and you do everything you're supposed to do. So I think that's really what it is. I think he wants one off season where he doesn't have to come to the table. Let me get 2
So
years or something and do something where my prime is past me, and then we can actually have, you know, 1 year, 5 million conversations. But until
mm-hmm.
then, if as long as I'm playing at this level, I expect to be rewarded as so. Even if you're paying me for past work, which isn't a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
but I understand where you're coming from. So I get that. I think that's what his main gripe is.
So is do you think he's looking for what was it 2-3 years ago when Buffalo gave Von Miller 6-year 120 at age
Nah,
32,
'cause,
31? Like, do you think that's what he's looking for with 45, 50 guaranteed? So it's essentially a two
um,
year deal. Like, I still don't know. Like, what are you looking for? That's my biggest thing. Like, if I knew exactly what Trey was looking for, it'd be a lot easier for me to either stand on his side or stand on the Bengals side. Like, if we're beefing over, or like, because he didn't really say, to me, it sounds like the Bengals are trying to find and are willing to come up on the annual number. Like, yeah, obviously, yeah, you deserve more than this 15, 16 million that you're getting due this year. But like, how much guarantees are you truly looking for? That's my question.
yeah, I mean, we just don't know, but I do feel him when he says,
But
15.8 is not it's not acceptable.
oh, absolutely.
Um,
And I wouldn't play on that current contract either. You talk about like the if you were performing in your position at work, whatever the case may be. I've never been in a job where I wasn't on a year-to-year basis. I've never been in any type of contractual role. So if I'm signing a contract on either side, I'm expecting us to adhere to the terms of the contract. I understand that doesn't happen, but that's what I would expect.
yeah, we gonna see what obviously I'm sure he wants to keep some of this stuff private
For
between
sure.
his agent negotiations. That way
Yeah.
the media doesn't run too wild with it. But
Yeah.
it's very interesting for him to have his moment to kind of speak his truth.
Yeah.
Um,
I just don't know how
and kind
much
of
it helped them, if it helped them at all.
depends on what you're talking about. When you say help, do you mean with negotiations?
Yeah, as far as his end goal, like, you know what I mean?
Uh you're one that's not short of opinions. I think that if you were in a similar situation, I don't think you're thinking about helping you. I think you're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah, no,
about I'm
no, no.
seeing
I'm
all this
not talking
stuff.
about him thinking that. I'm just thinking like from the outside looking in, like I wonder if him saying something like does anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, that's the
obviously, if this is Joe Burrow, that does something. We saw Jamar Chase didn't move him last year. So is Trey Hendrickson coming out like, does this change anything? I just don't know. I don't think so.
that's the thing. I get what you're saying. I just don't think he went into it thinking about that.
Mhm.
I don't know if he. I think he just needed to get that off of his chest. That, like I said, I learned a lot about Trey in that short time. One of the things he said is patience. He's
Mhm.
struggled with patience.
Mhm.
Um,
Word
And
to
I
your
get
boy
some of the
Hove.
messages. Yeah, I hate waiting. And I get some of the messages like, bro, we still got 20-some days until we got to report. Like, why are you telling me that? You sending me that message lets me know that you don't have anything in the works. And I know Zach doesn't control the contracts, but yeah, I don't know, man. It is. I will say this: it is one of those things that I hate as a Bengals fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we don't know what Trey wants and all that stuff. Let's put it like this: for all intents and purposes, I haven't heard anything that says that what he wants is unreasonable or out of this world. He's already said he doesn't want to be the highest paid DN. I think that the way he went about it, as far as like, if I can't help you on the field, I want to help you in some way, trading.
Yeah, I agree with
And
all
actually
of that
speaking up,
leading up to.
yeah, and speaking up to it, but I do say just I don't like what it means for free agents, for anybody interested in coming to Cincinnati to be scared away from how we do business. Like I said, unique situation, right? Because you can look at one hand and say, hey, you just got T done, you just got Jamar done, you got Joe done. I get that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sometimes, especially in this Joe window that we're going to be in, you might need that 29-year-old, 30, 31-year-old veteran at some position who's going to come in and help your team. And it can't just be 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. They're going to be shied away from it. And sometimes it's a petty thing. It's the smallest thing. Sometimes a team offers a 2-year deal versus a 1-year deal, and they'll just take that for the comfortability and the safety. You know, so it's a violent sport. Nothing's guaranteed, not even contracts. So I can get everybody wanting to cash in. He didn't make. I mean, he made on average like $700,000 a year, which isn't nothing to sneeze at. When he was in New Orleans, so he's trying to play a little bit of catch up, and I get it. But we'll see more. I just don't see where this situation's headed. I don't know if we're going to trade him. I don't know if we're going to give him a new deal. He is one of those people you would like to see get a new deal. Ideally, let's say 3 years. I don't know. What's the highest?
Yeah.
Well, Miles is getting what now? 40.
Yeah, but like I've always said, I can't go over 28. I can't go over what T is getting. So, you know, if we can
So
be
that's
in
what I'm
that
saying.
20,
So what? Three-year what? 3 year.
I mean,
Don't talk about not guaranteed. Just 3 year.
yeah,
80?
3 year 80, 81, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But and I'll probably
I'd be cool with it.
guarantee 2 of them, you know, but or a season and a half maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at like 3 years 75, 3 years 80, 50 guaranteed, 45 guaranteed, whatever. What does he get guaranteed? 40, 45?
Yeah, yeah. And I want to say I want to say that the Bengals would be willing to do that because and I mean, if we're talking about just tacking on 2 additional years because he has this year, then I feel like the Bengals would be willing to do that because I mean, otherwise you let him either force his hand this year, maybe he sits out, maybe he plays. And then what are you going to do? Tag him next year at some crazy amount that's going to be more than if you were to even do the extension. So, I like you said, I don't know where it's headed. If I'm honest with you, I feel like it's too late to trade him, but I don't know what the resolution is.
We're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. Very interesting stuff from Trey. I'm with him. I get it. So we'll see what happens. All right. Now to the main event, what we're all here for. Schedule release. We waited for this day. Waited for it since the season end. Phil was trying to cheat the code. I told this story on the Culture Guard podcast on an episode we did for the movie American Gangster. For those of you who don't know, I have a film podcast called The Culture Guard. And I talked about, shout out to my brother Pierre. I talked about in college, American Gangster was coming out. And I remember he got a copy from the barbershop, a bootleg copy. And he was, we were in our living room in our college apartment and put the burnt DVD in, watched that opening scene and looked at each other like, nah, man, we got to wait. We've been waiting too long. We got to wait for this to see in the theaters. Phil was trying to do that, man. Phil was sending me the schedule leaks. So I'm like, nah, man, we waited too long. I want the official joint. So I waited until 8 p.m. And he said it at like 7:50, 7:45. I'm like, bro, we got 15 minutes.
You might as well look at it.
Yeah. But I'm glad we got the schedule release. 8 o'clock, we got the full slate. We know exactly what's going on. We already knew who the opponents were. Now we see how it lines up. For those who don't know, a quick overall rundown of the schedule. Week 1, we're on the road, division game at Cleveland. Reminds me a couple years ago, that game in the rain. We started out week 1, the Browns destroyed us, hoping not to see the same. We have week 2 at home versus, is that the week 2? Yeah, week 2 at home versus Jacksonville, the home opener.
Mm-hmm.
Week 3 at Minnesota, week 4 at Denver. So 3 of the first 4 weeks we're on the road. Week 5 at home versus the Lions in an afternoon game. Week 6 at the Green Bay Packers. Week 7, 8, and 9, a home slate versus Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football, versus the Jets, and then versus the Chicago Bears. Got a bye week smack dead in the middle of the season. Couldn't ask for a better bye week. Week
Yep.
11, we're at Pittsburgh. I believe that is that's a regular game. That's not prime time. Week
Yeah, it's a
12
regular.
versus New England. Got to get that get back from last year. Week 13, Thanksgiving night. We nightcap on a great Thanksgiving Day slate. If
Man,
you
the
see the
best
other
yet.
2 games, yeah, the best yet. Week 14 at the Buffalo Bills. Week 15 at home versus Baltimore. Week 16 at Miami. There is no Spain game. And then week 17 versus the Cardinals. Week 18 at home versus the Browns. So you got the bookend games with the Browns and everything else in between. Phil,
Yep.
couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
One, I'm just gonna ask you. The past couple years, we've had our second home game be a primetime game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's usually the Ring of Honor game.
Yep.
Looking at our schedule now, it's safe to assume that the Pittsburgh game on Thursday night is going to be a Ring of Honor game. Would you agree? I
I
don't see anywhere else where we would do it.
The only other place I could see them do it would be week 5 against the Lions, just because of the matchup. And sometimes that 4 o'clock window, depending upon how many other games are being played, can still be kind of viewed somewhat like a primetime game. So usually it's earlier in the season. You know what I mean? It's like week 3 or 4. So for them to stretch it out to week 7, I think would be interesting, but I do think it is a very, very fitting game for that. And I feel like it is normally one of those Thursday night games. So I think you're probably right. But if I had to just pick one other game that it could be, I would say it'd be that Lions game just because of the matchup.
What were your initial thoughts when you saw the schedule and how it laid out as far as our, travel? I know we didn't say it. The
Yeah,
Bengals have the fewest miles to travel this entire season.
absolutely.
Um, Everything is pretty much right in the cluster of the
Mm-hmm.
Midwest. The furthest
Mm-hmm.
west they go is Denver. The furthest south they'll go is Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And then the furthest east they'll go is Buffalo, I believe.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Everything else, Buffalo, Baltimore, same kind of difference. They're
Yeah,
not far. So that plays in our favor as far as the travel. Like I
absolutely.
said, the bye week right in the middle of the season, it's set up for us to succeed. What were your
Mm-hmm.
initial thoughts when you saw how everything laid out?
Yeah, initial thoughts, couple things. I'll touch on it since you just left left off on it right there. Bye week, smack dab in the middle of the season. That's the best time that you want it. I know most people look at the prime time games first. I always look for the bye first to see where that falls. So falling right there, I think is a great spot for it. Also, you kind of get a little mini bye coming off of that Thanksgiving game with Baltimore. So going from Baltimore to Buffalo, both on the road, it is going to be nice to have that little mini bye there. Some complaints I have, like you mentioned, first 4 games, we only got one home game. As a season ticket holder, I'm tired of not getting them early home games. I want the best weather. You know what I mean? So getting one week 2, love it. Going up to Cleveland won't be difficult. So that's a solid opening game, like the open and close with them. Last time we opened with them, we closed with them. I really like the first half of the season. I think it's set up for us to potentially reverse the curse of the slow start. I'm not going to say that we will, because you just never know what'll happen and what things will look like in 3 months, for almost 4 months when we get the season started. But I will say, coming off of that bye, weeks 11 through 15, that is going to be some rough, tough, physical football. Pittsburgh, New England at home. You talked about it, that get back game. Then you're going on the road to Baltimore, on the road to Buffalo, and then coming home to host Baltimore again. That's a really, really tough 5-game stretch. But the first half of the season, hopefully we can put ourselves in a position to be able to, weather the storm there, so to speak. So definitely can't afford a slow start when the back half of your schedule looks like that. Ending with Miami, Arizona, and Cleveland is nice, because Tua probably won't be playing. Arizona, who knows? They could go either way. And Cleveland, I think we'll get to see Shador start, so that'll be fun. But that was my overall, kind of when I first looked at it, was the bye, that I like the opening minus the lack of home games, and then that gauntlet there, weeks 11 through 15.
Are you just basing that off of past injury history? You just don't think Tua will be available that late in the season?
Yeah,
Or there's
yeah,
something
yeah,
that I
yeah.
missed? Okay, then gotcha.
No,
I was like,
no,
did I
no.
miss Tua news?
It
Okay.
was just a Tua. It was just a Tua dig. Yeah, nothing you
Playing
missed.
Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Playing Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. That was the one thing that stood out. The two things I'd say. Only 2 games from the start of the season till October 5th at home. I don't like that, just from the weather aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And then also that week 11 through week 15 stretch. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be good per se, but those are always physical games.
Mm-hmm.
And then New England's going to be a different New England team. They beat us last year, and then Vrabel's going to bring a whole new mindset. They're going to be a tougher game than what they were last year.
I agree.
We get them home back to back, but we'll see how that goes. And then Baltimore, two out of 3 weeks with Buffalo's, squeeze in the middle. Buffalo got better, man. We talked about it in our drafts recap. Just what they did during their draft, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That's not going to be easy, especially in December. Now we do own Buffalo, but I will say this is shaking up to be the best Buffalo team that we've seen, and not just from the eye test. I know Buffalo's look great at times. Not once have they ever struck fear in me, like ever. I just don't believe that. So, but I do think this is going to be one of those teams. It's going to be much better. It's late in the season, so we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of things that could be going on. Overall, I think we're right in the middle as far as strength of schedule.
Yeah,
Smack
14th.
dab right there in the middle. 14th. Yeah, so that's all you can ask for. Like I said, this isn't going to be a long episode, so I do have a couple questions that I want to ask you before we get out of here.
Absolutely.
One, what road games do you plan on going to?
Man, I've been thinking about that. We talked a little bit, but I've been thinking about it ever since the schedule dropped. Because prior to, you always got those ones circled that you want to try to get to, and then you see how the schedule falls. But I really would like to get to that Minnesota game. Week 3. Well, let me start.
Minnesota.
Week 1, obviously Cleveland. That's an easy commute. If I can get some reasonable tickets, you can best believe I'll be there. Week 3, I would love to get to Minnesota, because similar weather as us. So getting to Minnesota in late September, I think, would be cool. Although I've got some heavy travel plans that following weekend, so it may be difficult to pull that off. I don't know how far is a drive to Minnesota. I might be able to drive that. So I don't know. I want to get to Mall of America, and I want to see that stadium. We talked about Denver. Unfortunately, that's out of the question, because I'll be in Vegas celebrating my 10th anniversary.
For you, it's out of the question.
And I got to get back to being a parent that following Monday. So it'll be a wrap for me. But I will be home, nice and comfortable to be able to watch that. And hopefully my body will still be on West Coast time, so I have no issue staying up to see that game. But getting back to it, I would love to get the Lambeau. Didn't want to go for the draft, but really would love to get there for this game. I think that's like a 7.5 hour drive for me from here in Cincy. So that could, I might be able to bust that drive back after the game. I don't know, but I really would like to get to Green Bay or Miami, because who doesn't want to go to Florida in December? It's exactly a week before my birthday. Sunday night football at Hard Rock Stadium. That would be one that I would really like to try to get to.
10 hours and 16 minutes from your house to
Ah,
Minneapolis.
nah, that's not the question.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't think you're going to do that. Interesting. So, obviously, y'all know I'm a road warrior when it comes to the Bengals. Overall, a lot of this stuff kind of lines up perfectly, right? It lines up for me just based off location. I live in Cleveland now. Week one, I'm already going to be here. Phil came up last year. Pretty much locked that in. Home open. I'm ready to turn up. September. It's going to be nice out. Let's get it. Got a lot of Cleveland friends up here. They want to talk. They talk. Let's get to it, right?
Catch them while they're still confident.
Yeah, catch them while they're still confident. Minnesota feels like somewhere I want to go. You got the LSU reunion with Joe, Jamar, Justin. You also have just the overall me never being to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Like it's a good reason to go somewhere I've never been. Denver, we joked about it. I said that's going to be an issue for you because my plan, as we are in Vegas that same weekend, everybody's checking out Monday. It's a Monday night game. I plan on flying from Denver, taking a one-way from Cincinnati to Vegas, taking a one-way from Vegas to Denver, and then another one-way from Denver to Cincinnati. So I think that's what it's going to work out. I just can't see myself not doing that. I love Denver. Haven't been there since 2021. So I want to plan that out. Green Bay seems like a place that I want to go because when am I ever going to go back to Green Bay? Missed the draft there. Chose Vegas instead. The Bengals don't play in Green Bay that often. It might be another however many years before we go back. So that feels like one I have to do. And then, like I said, Pittsburgh, 2-hour drive from Cleveland. That's nothing. I can do that same day. Buffalo, 3.5-hour drive from Cleveland. I can do that the same day. Like, so some of these things are kind of lined up perfectly. My niece was born first Thanksgiving in Baltimore. I'm going to be in Baltimore anyway.
Makes
sense. I already told Big Sis Thanksgiving night we might as well go to the game. So that kind of sounds like a plan. And then in Miami. Now, it sounds crazy because I pretty much just named all the road games. And I know that's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen that way.
True to your name, man. True to your name.
Nah, I'm not. But I would say if I had to choose some, absolutely, it's going to be the Bengals at Miami and the Green Bay game. And everything else is already kind of arranged. Like I said, some of these games just work out because of the proximity. And even Buffalo, right? That's the middle of December. Depending on how the weather is, I'm not necessarily in a rush to get to Buffalo. If it was a playoff game, sure. But, a lot of those cold weather games, we'll see how that works. But that's the goal. That's the plan. Not a lot of travel time, so we'll see. Go ahead.
I really want you to go to that Buffalo game because I think this is their last year in that stadium, and I want you to see how bad it is. I really want you to see like how bad that stadium is. Like,
and I want to go to what's the spot? What's the spot that you
Duff's, man? You gotta go to Duff's.
I want to go to Duff's.
Woo,
gotta go to and then, like I said, Denver. I gotta add Denver to this. Denver's gonna happen.
Mile High is so dope. You will love Mile High, man. You gotta.
Yeah, I've seen Mile High, but never went into it. Yeah. Like I said, I went in November randomly in 2021. Denver's just a cool spot.
Lastly, cool tailgate experience too.
Okay, then cool. I'm looking forward to it, man. But Miami, we got to make that happen. That's a week before Phil's birthday. We'll put the Cash App up, man. Maybe I can donate this trip to Miami.
I'm gonna need it, boy.
But lastly, before we get out of here, Phil, of course, I got to ask your prediction, man. What's the record this season?
I always tend to shoot a little too high when it comes to this, but I don't see how we don't sweep Cleveland. I imagine we'll split with Baltimore, and I think we should be able to sweep Pittsburgh, as difficult as that may sound. So, I'm gonna say the Bengals probably go 12-5, simply because we're gonna win some games we shouldn't, and we're gonna lose some games we shouldn't. I say it each and every year, so I'm gonna just go with 12-5. It just feels right. I doubt that'll be enough to get us that number 1 seed, but I do think we'll probably be in that 2-3 range. And I really if we don't get back into the playoffs, oh man, it's gonna be a revolt. So 12-5 sounds good, and I like the way the schedule has fell for us.
I feel like I was a mentalist because that's exactly what I had. 12-5.
You had it on
Literally
the
just won.
on the paper.
Yep, I was gonna say I should have just held it up to the screen. 12-5 is my prediction as well, and that's being a little bit. My biggest thing is if we can start 2-2, I'll be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a favorable schedule. I think we should start a little bit better, but I don't want to get my hopes too high. We've been down this road before, so we're gonna see how it all works out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, the one thing I didn't do, and we'll talk about it more as we continue with this, these episodes throughout the offseason, I haven't really looked at anybody else's schedule. So I didn't look
Yeah,
at Baltimore's
me either.
schedule because I was thinking about division winner. Like, we should win the division
Mm-hmm.
this year, but I haven't looked to see
Yeah.
what Baltimore's schedule looks like, Pittsburgh or Cleveland's.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. But with that being said, y'all, we're going to go ahead and slide out of here. Nice little quick 30-minute episode just about schedule, Trey, the whole nine. We'll talk more about this as the season progresses.
Yes, sir.
Probably got a week off coming up, and then we'll get into our bag of talking about some of the top players at the positions. Do a weekly series on that until mini camp starts. So,
Yes, sir.
Phil, always a pleasure, my brother.
You know it.
All the folks out there, we appreciate y'all for tuning in, for rocking with us. As always, Who Dey?
Who Dey? Shout out to you, Rich.
Peace. We out.